The alien race called the Verex ruled many planets. They were strong, tall, and proud hunters. They believed that no other species could match their strength or skills. When they came to Earth, they found humans interesting but weak. They thought humans would make good prey. To the Verex, hunting was not for food. It was a game, a way to prove their power. On a faraway jungle moon called Alaris 4, a group of humans stood in shock. The air was hot and thick. Strange trees with silver leaves stretched high above them. Machines flew in the sky, scanning the ground. These humans were not soldiers. They were teachers, doctors, workers, ordinary people. Among them was Daehoon Park, a biology teacher, quiet but observant. Beside him was Ariam Han, a young medic who tried to calm everyone down. Daehoon looked around and understood what was happening. "They brought us here for sport," he said softly. The others turned to him, confused and afraid. From the sky, a metallic voice spoke in a strange accent, echoing through the jungle. "You have been chosen. Survive until the final dawn, and you win your freedom." The humans froze. Laughter followed the message. The Verex found amusement in watching fear. They watched through drones as the humans ran in panic. Some hid under the trees, some cried, and others fell to their knees. But Daehoon did not move. He was studying. He saw the drones hovering above, the lights blinking red. He watched how they moved, where they stopped, and how long before they returned. He knew something the Verex didn't. Humans were built for endurance. They could walk, run, and chase for hours, even days. They did not need to be the strongest. They only needed to keep going. Night came fast. The sky turned dark purple, and strange creatures screamed in the distance. The humans gathered in a small cave. Ariam cleaned a cut on Daehoon's arm. "We can't fight them," she whispered. "They have machines, weapons, everything." Daehoon smiled faintly. "Then we won't fight them the way they expect. We'll make them chase us." The next morning, one of the Verex hunters, Commander Karovar, entered the jungle wearing metal armor. He moved confidently. He saw tracks, small footprints heading toward the river. He followed them, his scanner showing movement. He fired a plasma bolt, burning through leaves, but nothing appeared. Then he heard a sound, a rock clinking behind him. When he turned, something struck his helmet. A piece of metal, sharp and small, thrown from the shadows. It didn't kill him, but it startled him. "Strange," Carol muttered. "They run, but they don't give up." For the rest of the day, the hunters moved through the jungle, expecting an easy victory. But every time they thought they had found humans, the trail changed. They found traps made from vines and sharp stones. They found broken drones hanging from trees. And they found something else, signs that the humans were still alive. Ariam and Daehoon worked together. Ariam collected herbs and plants for food and medicine. Daehoon studied the jungle and learned how to use it. He made simple traps, used smoke to hide their heat from scanners, and kept the group moving. He told them, "Don't run fast. Move steady. They will tire before we do." By the second night, the jungle was silent. The Verex commanders laughed, thinking the humans must be dead. Carol relaxed in his camp, removing his helmet. Then a scout entered, pale and shaking. "Sir," he said, "Hunter Varen has reported back." Carol frowned. "He's probably sleeping." But hours passed, and the hunter never returned. When they checked the tracker, it showed his signal deep inside the jungle, unmoving. Carol sent a drone to scan, but the feed cut out. All they saw before it went dark was a human footprint beside an alien weapon. Far away in the quiet shadows, Daehoon and Ariam sat near a small fire. The others slept, exhausted. Ariam looked at him and said, "Do you think they'll stop?" Daehoon looked up at the night sky, where the alien ships floated like silver eyes. "No," he said calmly, "but neither will we." The jungle wind carried distant sounds, the roars of machines, the crackle of strange animals, and the faint hum of drones searching for prey. But the humans didn't hide anymore. They moved in rhythm, steady and silent. Somewhere above, the Verex watched through their monitors. One of them tilted his head. "They're still alive?" he asked in disbelief. "Yes," another replied, "but they're not running anymore." The screen flickered. showing humans walking slowly through mist, their faces calm, determined. It was the first time the Verex realized something was different about this prey. They weren't fighting for fun. They were surviving. They were learning. And when the first dawn came, Dehun stood at the edge of the forest, looking toward the alien base lights in the distance. His breathing was steady. His steps were quiet. His eyes were sharp. The hunt had begun, but not the way the aliens had planned. Commander Carol Var stood near the glowing map of the jungle. Red dots moved slowly across the screen. Human signals. They were few, weak, and scattered. By now, Carol expected them all to be dead. Yet, the trackers told a different story. The humans were still alive. They were moving together, almost in a line, through the thickest part of the jungle. How are they still breathing? Carol muttered. His second-in-command, Rail, checked the scanners. Maybe they're hiding underground. No, Carol said quietly. They're walking. The Verex found this strange. Most prey ran until they collapsed. But these humans, they walked slowly, carefully, never stopping for long. It was as if they knew something the hunters didn't. Deep inside the forest, Dehun led the small group forward. Behind him walked Arium, Jasu Choi, a former marathon runner, and Take Ryu, an engineer who once worked on mining ships. They moved silently, their feet sinking into the damp soil. Every step was slow, but steady. Arium whispered, "How long do we keep walking?" Dehun looked up at the sky, where the alien drone circled faintly. "As long as it takes for them to get tired." Take smiled weakly. "Aliens getting tired? That'll be the day." But he didn't argue. They had seen it already. The first hunter's mistake. The alien had chased him too long in heavy armor, and when night fell, he couldn't move. Humans didn't need armor. They didn't need machines. They had something else, persistence. Jasu led them over a ridge. He was breathing heavily, but his pace never slowed. He whispered, "I used to run marathons. Back home, people said humans are the only animals that can run forever. Maybe it's true." Dehun nodded. "We just have to remind them." Behind them, drones buzzed through the air. The group ducked under thick leaves and waited. The sound passed above like thunder. Take checked a small, broken drone, one he had repaired using alien scraps. It blinked blue twice, signaling something. "They're splitting up," he said. 3 hunters are moving east. 2 are coming this way." Dehun thought quickly. "We move west, use the stream to hide our heat." The group waded into the cold water. The current was slow, and the mud sucked at their boots, but it covered their tracks. The jungle grew darker as clouds rolled in, and thunder rumbled overhead. Hours passed. Rain fell, cooling their skin. The aliens followed, their scanners flickering in the storm. Carol marched through the wet ground, frustrated. His armor was heavy, and his soldiers complained. "The humidity is damaging the rifles," one said. "Keep moving." Carol barked. "They can't be far." But the heat built under their armor. Their breathing grew rough. They were not made for long hunts. They hunted for power, not endurance. Meanwhile, Dehun's group moved silently. Arium handed out small pieces of fruit she had found. It wasn't much, but it kept them going. She noticed Dehun's hands shaking. "You haven't slept," she said. "None of us can," he replied softly. "If we stop, they catch up. If we keep moving, they'll break before we do." As night came again, the humans reached a wide clearing. In the middle stood a large fallen tree. Dehun examined it and whispered, "This will do." They built a simple trap using branches, mud, and rope made from vines. Jasu spread leaves to hide their footprints. Then they climbed a nearby hill to watch. An hour later, 2 Verex hunters appeared, scanning the area. One stepped near the tree, unaware of the trap. The ground gave way, and he fell into a pit, his weapon flying into the air. The others shouted in alarm, but before he could react, a rock struck his helmet, thrown by Dehun. The alien stumbled, and Jasu jumped from a hill, knocking him down with a broken branch. Arium rushed forward, grabbing the alien's communicator before destroying it. The humans retreated quickly, vanishing back into the shadows. When Carol found his fallen soldiers, anger burned in his chest. "They fought back," Rael said in disbelief. "They used traps." Carol clenched his fists. "They're learning." By morning, mist filled the jungle. The humans rested near a waterfall, their bodies sore, but their spirits strong. Jesu laughed quietly. "They thought we were animals. Now they're the ones afraid of the dark." Dehun looked at the rising sun through the trees. "They wanted a game," he said softly. "Now it's a race." Back at the alien base, Carol stood before his troops. "These humans, they don't fight like soldiers. They don't surrender. They keep moving." He stared at the flickering red dots on the map. Find them before the others lose their nerve. But his soldiers didn't answer. The jungle had grown too quiet, too still. The hunters felt the weight of something new, something they didn't understand. The humans were no longer running out of fear. They were running with purpose. That night, as the storm returned, Ariam whispered to Dehun, "Do you think they know what we're doing?" Dehun looked into the dark. "Not yet," he said, "but they will." Thunder cracked overhead, shaking the ground. The humans moved again, vanishing into the mist, leaving no sound but the quiet rhythm of their feet. The hunt continued, silent, endless, and relentless. Days turned into weeks on the jungle moon of Alaris 4. The air stayed heavy with mist, and the ground was always wet from the endless rain. The humans had stopped being prey. Now, they were something different, quiet shadows that moved through the trees without sound. The Varix hunters still searched for them, but fewer went into the jungle each day. The hunters who did often never returned. Dehun Park crouched beside a stream, washing his hands. His face was thin, but his eyes were sharp. Ariam Han sat nearby, grinding alien plants into a paste for medicine. Jesu checked their traps, and Take worked on a small device, a broken alien drone that he had been fixing piece by piece. "Once this works," Take said softly, "we'll be able to hear what the aliens say." Dehun nodded. "Good. Knowledge is our weapon now." The jungle had become their teacher. Ariam had learned which plants could heal wounds, which ones burned skin, and which made smoke thick enough to block heat scanners. Jesu knew every safe path through the swamp, every place where the ground could swallow a manhole. And Dehun, he learned the aliens. He studied their tracks, their patterns, their breathing, even their fear. One night, Dehun and Take followed the signal from the repaired drone. The light blinked faintly, showing a small alien outpost deep in the forest. 2 guards stood by a transmitter, scanning the area nervously. Their movements were clumsy, slow, tired. The humans hid behind roots, watching. "They're losing energy," Dehun whispered. "They can't last long here." Take smiled slightly. "The hunters are being hunted." They waited until the guards left, then slipped into the camp. Inside, Dehun found a strange data screen. It showed alien messages, reports, and health logs. Most of the hunters were suffering. High heart rate, exhaustion, dehydration. The jungle was killing them faster than any weapon could. As Dehun scrolled through the data, a message appeared on the screen in bold alien letters. Take translated the words slowly. "Recommend withdrawal. The humans are not prey. They are persistence predators." Dehun stared at it in silence. "Persistence predators," he whispered. "They finally understand." Suddenly, static filled the radio. A faint voice came through, not alien, but human. "If anyone can't hear this, keep moving. We're still alive. They're afraid." It was a survivor from another group. Ariam's eyes widened when she heard the message later that night. "There are more of us?" she asked. Dehun nodded. "Yes, and they're fighting too." The humans decided to send a message back, using the alien transmitter. Take patched into their communication line. Dehun spoke clearly, his voice calm but firm. "This is not your hunt anymore. You want a game. We call it survival." The signal went straight to the alien command post. Commander Carol Var heard it echo through the speakers. He froze. Around him, his soldiers exchanged nervous looks. The voice was human, strong, unbroken. "Trace that signal." Carol shouted. But the screen flickered, showing only static and movement. Faint human shadows walking through the jungle mist. Carol slammed his fist on the console. "They mock us," he growled. But deep down, even he felt something strange, fear. That night, the Varix hunters heard strange sounds echoing through the jungle. Human voices, laughter, whispers. It made them uneasy. Every shadow looked alive. Every rustle felt like footsteps. Their scanners blinked with false readings. Some saw figures that weren't there. Meanwhile, Daehoon's group gathered around a small campfire. Arium looked at him and said, "Do you think they heard you?" Daehoon smiled faintly. "They heard, and now they'll start to run." Over the next days, the humans became bolder. They struck small alien camps, stealing food, batteries, and equipment. They attacked only at night, disappearing before the Varix could respond. The aliens started burning parts of the jungle, desperate to drive them out. But the fire only made things worse. The heat drained their strength, and the smoke blinded their drones. Jasul led a small group through the chaos, whispering, "They think we're running away, but we're circling them." Arium added softly, "We're not the hunted anymore." By the fifth night, Daehoon's group reached the edge of the main alien base. It was surrounded by lights and towers, guarded by machines. They didn't plan to attack it. Not yet. Daehoon only wanted them to see something. He activated one of the stolen transmitters and sent the same message again, only this time with a video. The footage showed the faces of surviving humans, tired, dirty, but alive and standing tall. The message ended with Daehoon's calm voice. "We are the species that never stops. You can't outlast us. You can't break us. Remember that when you hunt again." In the alien command tent, Carol watched the video in silence. Around him, the soldiers whispered, "Sir, what are they?" Carol didn't answer. His hand shook slightly as he stared at the frozen image on the screen, Daehoon's calm eyes staring back at him. In the jungle below, thunder rolled again. The humans moved quietly through the trees, their steps in rhythm with the rain. The hunt had changed forever. The Varix came for sport. Now, they were running for survival. And for the first time, the mighty hunters of the galaxy were afraid of humans. The jungle moon of Alaris 4 was no longer quiet. Smoke hung in the air, and the ground trembled from the sound of alien machines. The Varix had grown desperate. They brought more hunters, more drones, and heavier armor. Commander Kerovar ordered them to sweep the jungle and end the hunt once and for all. But the humans were already waiting. Daehoon Park stood on a hill overlooking the valley. His face was marked with dirt, but his eyes were steady. Arium Han adjusted the straps on her bag, filled with small tools and smoke bombs made from alien powder. Take Ryu carried a pack of batteries, and Jasu Choi was stretching his legs, ready to run. "They're coming again," Arium said, watching the glowing red lights moving through the trees below. Daehoon nodded. "Let them come. This time we chased them." The humans had learned everything they needed. They knew how the Varix armor overheated in the jungle. They knew the weak spots in their helmets. They knew that the aliens could not last long under the heavy gravity of this moon. The humans didn't have machines, but they had something the aliens didn't: stamina, patience, and unity. As the alien patrols moved in, the humans spread out. Jasul led one group toward the south. Arium and Take went north to disrupt communications. Daehoon stayed behind, guiding everyone to the stolen alien radio. In the jungle below, the hunt began again. The Varix soldiers shouted orders, their scanners flashing. But every time they thought they found a human signal, it vanished. Every noise, every movement led them in circles. Then the trap started. Smoke bombs exploded under their feet, blinding them. Vines snapped, pulling drones into the trees. Spikes made from alien scrap dropped from above. The hunters panicked, firing wildly into the mist. Jasu moved like a shadow through the trees. His breath was calm and even. He had been running for hours, yet he didn't stop. Behind him, 2 Varix soldiers tried to follow. Their steps grew heavy. Their breathing turned rough. When they reached a small clearing, Jasu turned around. He wasn't running anymore. The aliens raised their weapons, but before they could fire, Jasu threw a rock that hit one of their helmets. The noise echoed, and from the trees, Daehoon's group appeared. They didn't attack head-on. They moved fast, striking once, then vanishing again. The aliens couldn't keep up. At the same time, Arium and Take were at the communication tower. Take connected wires to a battery, and Arium poured the thick smoke mixture over the vents. "Ready?" Take asked. "Do it," Arium said. The explosion wasn't large, but it was enough. The main tower went dark, and the alien radios filled with static. Carol's voice shouted through the comms. "Report? I want positions." But no one answered. Daehoon heard the silence through the stolen radio and smiled faintly. "They've lost contact," he said. For hours, the chase continued. The aliens kept pushing forward, but their steps grew slower, their armor heavier. The jungle fought against them. Mud swallowed their boots, the heat drained their energy, and every shadow looked like danger. Daehoon's voice came through the static. "Don't fight. Keep moving. They'll break first." By nightfall, the jungle had swallowed most of the alien force. The humans regrouped near the old riverbed, their clothes torn but their spirits high. Arium checked everyone's wounds, and Jisoo handed Daehoon a small piece of alien metal, a sign that another hunter had fallen. "They're afraid now," Jisoo said quietly. "They should be," Daehoon replied. "We're not prey anymore." In the alien base, Carol watched the trackers on his screen. The red dots blinked one by one, then vanished. His soldiers were disappearing. "What is happening out there?" he growled. "Sir," one technician said, his voice shaking, "the humans are everywhere. We can't track them anymore. They keep moving." Carol slammed his fist on the console. "Then move faster." But when he stepped outside, the jungle was silent. The mist had thickened, and even the stars were gone behind the clouds. He could feel eyes on him, watching, waiting. He raised his weapon and shouted, "Show yourselves!" From somewhere deep in the forest, a human voice replied, calm and steady. "You wanted a hunt. Now you have one." The sound echoed through the trees. Carol spun around, his heart pounding. Every shadow looked alive. Every sound felt like footsteps closing in. The chase had turned into something else now, an endurance battle, a test of will. The humans didn't need to win with strength. They just needed to keep going, step by step, hour after hour. By dawn, the Varric's army was broken. Many had collapsed, their bodies overheated, their armor cracked. Those who could still move retreated toward their landing ships. Carol tried to regroup, but his soldiers ignored him. Their eyes were wild with fear. Daehoon and his group stood on a cliff, watching the aliens fall back. Arium looked at him and said, "They're running." Daehoon nodded slowly. "Yes, and we're still here." The jungle wind blew through the trees, carrying the scent of smoke and rain. Take looked up at the alien ships rising into the sky. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked. Daehoon's voice was calm. "Not soon. Not after this." The humans had done the impossible. They had outlasted the greatest hunters in the galaxy. They had proven that survival wasn't about power or technology. It was about persistence. As the last alien ship disappeared into the clouds, Arium whispered, "So this is what it means to be human." Daehoon looked at the horizon, his voice steady. "It means we never stop." And in the quiet after the storm, the jungle of Alaris 4 belonged to them. The jungle moon was silent for the first time in weeks. The fires had burned out, the rain had washed away the ashes, and the alien machines were gone. The Varric's had fled into the sky, leaving behind their dead and their broken metal. Only one ship remained near the valley, and inside it stood Commander Kerovar, the last hunter. He was no longer proud or strong. His armor was cracked, his eyes hollow. He looked at the blinking screen that showed nothing but static. His entire squad was gone. Every signal that once marked a Varric soldier had vanished. Outside, the jungle breathed quietly. The air was heavy with mist, and from the trees came the sound of footsteps. Slow, calm, and steady. Daehoon Park walked through the clearing with Arium Han beside him. Behind them were Jisoo Choi and Take Ryu. Their clothes were torn and their faces were marked with dirt, but their eyes burned with quiet strength. They had followed the last signal of the alien beacon to this place. The Variks were gone, but Carol stayed behind. He was the only one who refused to leave. He wanted to end the hunt with honor or with revenge. Dahoon raised his hand for the others to stop. "Stay here," he said softly. Ariam shook her head. "You shouldn't go alone." Dahoon gave her a faint smile. "He's not hunting anymore. He's running from what he became." He stepped forward through the mist until he stood before the alien ship. The doors hissed open with a metallic groan. Inside, Carol waited, holding his weapon, its power core flickering weakly. When he saw Dahoon, he let out a low growl. "You," he said in a rough voice. "You're the one who speaks for them." Dahoon didn't raise his hands or show fear. "You came to hunt," he said calmly. "Now you're the one being hunted." Carol laughed bitterly. "We were warriors. You were prey." He took a step forward, his armor creaking. "But you never stopped. How? What are you?" Dahoon looked at him for a moment before answering. "We're human. We don't stop because stopping means dying. We chase, we adapt, and we endure. That's what we are." Carol's weapon trembled in his hand. His breathing was uneven. "Endurance," he muttered. "That's your weapon?" Dahoon nodded. "It's the only one we needed." For a moment, neither moved. The jungle was quiet, except for the distant drip of rain on metal. Carol's weapon lowered slightly. "We thought you were weak," he said softly. "Now I see. You were never the prey." Dahoon stepped closer. "Then leave. Take your people and never come back." Carol stared at him. His pride was gone, replaced by something like respect. He reached toward the console and pressed a button. A low hum filled the air as the ship's engines came to life. As the ship began to lift, Carol looked down at Dahoon one last time. "We will remember this," he said. "But next time we'll be ready." Dahoon's eyes stayed calm. "So will we." The ship rose slowly into the sky, breaking through the clouds. The wind from its engines swept through the jungle, bending the trees. The humans watched in silence as it vanished into the dark horizon. Ariam stepped beside Dahoon. "Is it over?" she asked. "For now," he said. "But the story won't end here. Somewhere out there, they'll tell others what happened, and they'll think twice before hunting us again." Take sat down on a rock, staring at the empty sky. "Do you think anyone will believe them?" Jisoo smiled faintly. "They'll believe the fear in their voices." The group stood quietly, watching the sun rise. The light spilled through the jungle, turning the mist golden. For the first time, it didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It felt like home. Ariam took a deep breath and said softly, "We survived." Dahoon looked around at the vast forest, now calm and peaceful. "We did more than survive," he said. "We endured." They began walking back toward the hills where the other survivors waited. Birds returned to the sky, and strange alien creatures peeked from the shadows. Life was slowly returning to the jungle. As they walked, Dahoon glanced at the broken alien weapon lying half buried in the dirt. He picked it up and threw it into the river. "We won't need these," he said. "We'll live our way now." Ariam smiled. "And if they come back?" Dahoon looked at her with calm certainty. "Then we'll run again. Not away toward them. Behind them." The jungle closed its green curtain, hiding the scars of war. The sound of footsteps faded, replaced by the whisper of leaves and the song of strange birds. High above, far beyond the clouds, the Variks fleet drifted in silence. In their command chamber, messages spread across the network. Reports of failure, warnings about a species that refused to die. They had hunted many worlds before. They had faced countless prey. But none had ever done this. None had ever made them afraid. In the records of the Variks, a new name was written: humans, persistence hunters. Back on Alaris 4, Dahoon and his group reached a ridge overlooking the valley. The sun burned bright above the mist. He turned to Ariam, Take, and Jisoo. "Let's go home," he said. They didn't know if Earth still existed, or if anyone was waiting. But they walked anyway, steady, determined, unstoppable. Because that was what humans did. They never stopped. They endured. They hunted back. And in the quiet wind of the jungle moon, the legend of the last hunt began. The end.